If you want to start your home buying journey today, here are the things you need to do today. And stick around till the end, and Matt will give you one of his tips on how you can protect your privacy throughout the process. So we're talking about first-time home buyers and first-time home buyer tips. I get asked all the time from people, how do they start the process? So what's the first thing you would tell people? How do they get started if they've never bought a home before and they really don't know where to begin?
So really the first step is to determine your purchasing power.
Okay.
And unless you have a whole bunch of cash that you want to use towards a home purchase, you're going to need to get pre-approved. And pre-approval is where a lender will take a look at your income, assets, and credit. Most lenders will pull what's called a hard inquiry. And a hard inquiry can have a negative impact on your credit. It's kind of like a blood test where, yes, a doctor is going to stick you with a needle and you're going to feel a little bit of pain, but the information that you get from that blood test is going to help you out long term. They're going to take a look and see where you stand credit score wise, see what's going on with your credit report. And then as part of my pre-approval process and most other lenders, we're going to review your credit and we're going to see if there's ways that we can increase your score. Even though it might hurt you a little bit in the short term, long term, you're going to get way more benefits out of it.
Okay, great. So, all right, so let's say I don't have the perfect credit score. Am I dead in the water?
No, not necessarily. Again, as mentioned, there's certain things that we can do in order to increase your credit score. Also, different programs are going to have different credit score requirements.
Right.
We can actually go as low as 580.
Oh, wow.
So relatively low. Now, it's going to impact your terms. So, it's just kind of finding that balance. Like, do these terms work at your credit score, or is it better off to do those certain things to improve your score and get you better terms on it?
You guys out there, the first thing you need to do is get with a lender, preferably a local lender, so they are understanding the area and the market that you're trying to buy in. And the very first thing is to take a look at your credit.
As well as income, assets, because those also play a vital role in what programs you're eligible for, as well as your purchasing power. So, credit is probably one of the biggest hurdles, especially for first-time home buyers. But I don't want to downplay the importance of income and assets.
So when you talk about income, what do you need? What should people be prepared before they make that first phone call or go into your online application? What should people have available and ready so they can give you the information you need?
Lenders will look at documentation. Particularly with income, we're going to want at least 30 days of pay stubs, W-2s from your employer. If you're self-employed, we're going to need tax returns.
How many tax returns?
Usually 2 years.
2 years of tax returns if you're self-employed.
For assets, we'll need bank statements. We may need additional documentation depending upon what else is going on with your overall scenario. Documentation is absolutely key. It really is the difference in getting your loan approved or not getting approved. So it's always good to have your documentation prepared. Just to kind of do another rundown of the typical documentation set. 30 days of pay stubs, 2 years W-2s and sometimes tax returns if you're self-employed, 60 days of bank statements, a photo ID, and then other documentation. If you're divorced, then we'll probably need a copy of the divorce decree or separation agreement. If you've had any bankruptcies or anything, we'll need information along those lines.
If someone, say you've had a bankruptcy on your file, how does that work? What's the time limit and how do bankruptcies work with credit?
There are different programs out there and each program is going to have different requirements.
So it's not a straightforward answer.
We have programs where the very next day, once your bankruptcy is discharged, we can get you a loan. They're not the most easily attainable because there's a give and take there. You're probably going to put more money down. You're probably going to have to show something else. Most traditional programs, though, are going to have a waiting period. They can be as little as 1 year, and usually it's 2 or 3 years. You have to wait until you can apply and get approved for that particular loan program.
The good news is if you've had a bankruptcy, there are programs and there are steps to getting you back to home ownership. Best thing is to reach out to a lender who can talk you through those processes. And if someone does have that on their credit, do you recommend they give you a call first before they go online and fill out the application?
So I like to start every single application, or really before we get to the application, with an initial phone call. I want to better understand the applicant's situation and what their goals are. I want to make sure that we're on the same page and can advise accordingly. Usually the first thing I recommend after we get off the phone is to go ahead and apply, but I like to have that initial conversation just to kind of better tailor the experience to them. Everyone's home buying journey is going to be different
Yes.
and unique. So there's going to be certain things that apply to one situation that may not apply to another, and vice versa.
Okay, so just to recap and kind of wrap things up on this topic, the first step really is to get all your files together, right? Get your W-2s, get everything together so you have it in front of you so you're not searching. And then your second step is to call Matt and talk to him about your situation, what you're trying to do. And then the third step would be that credit pull.
Fill out an application, get a credit pull, and that's really how you begin with the pre-approval process.
Now, I've heard that rate shopping can hurt your credit. Do you advise people to rate shop? And if so, is there a limit to how long you have to rate shop and how many companies you should reach out to?
And I do recommend that you do, rate shop, but you want to make sure that you're using a lender that you feel comfortable with. So the credit bureaus will allow you to have your credit pulled by multiple mortgage lenders for 14 days, and it only counts as one hard inquiry. So if I pull your credit, if another lender pulls your credit, and you're within that time frame, it only counts as one hard inquiry. And again, that's 14 days is the typical window.
Perfect. That's great information to know. I get asked that a lot when people call me and they haven't secured a mortgage yet. They want to know, well, how do I do this? Can I only go to one person? So you've heard it from the expert here. You do have 14 days. However, what I always advise, and I'm sure Matt does as well, make sure you're comfortable with the person you're dealing with. Give a phone call first. This is one of the reasons I like to partner with Matt. He'll answer your questions over a phone call before he even touches your credit. So you can establish that relationship and make sure you're working with someone who's listening to your needs. Lately, with the market being what it is, and even when the market changes, people always want to know, what can I afford? And that's one of the things Matt will help you do. He'll figure out, where do you want to be? What's your comfortable monthly mortgage payment? And then you can go from there. Now, we did promise you, if you stuck around till the end, we're going to give you a little tip on privacy. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt for this because I have no clue. He's going to educate you and me.
So one thing that I always recommend folks do, and this is really to kind of cut down of your exposure out there, is to go out to optoutprescreen.com. And what you can do is you can opt out for the credit bureaus selling your information to other creditors. And this will cut down on the junk mail that you receive. It can also reduce the amount of phone calls that you get from creditors. And then ultimately, it can also really protect your privacy because your information is not being bought and sold willy-nilly. You have control over sort of who's getting that information. So optoutprescreen.com, I highly recommend it. Do it now if you can. Otherwise, you'll probably just forget about it, but it will help with reduction of junk mail and just having your information out there.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that, Matt. Be sure to like and follow, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing a series of these. If you have any questions, you can follow things throughout, look in the comments, and also reach out to us. Our information will be found in the comments below and also on the video. Thanks so much.